Yo, so guys, welcome back to another video, and this is one that I'm genuinely excited for, and it's a LEMMiNO video posted 21 hours ago. You can literally see it there, and I've been working my way through his videos, and it had been, what, 4 months since he last posted, so I was like excited for him to post again. And again, there's a lot more videos I still have to do of his, but when it comes to him posting, like, as soon as he posts videos, it's going to be one of those channels that I'm just reacting to straight away. Again, I'm still going to do the Lost Colony of Roanoke, or however you say it, and all these different ones that I have had suggested, because I do love this channel. But I just saw this one, and I was always going to do it. I saw it pop up on my feed yesterday, and I was like, yeah, I'm reacting to this when I can, which is now. And I had a lot of suggestions through Instagram and YouTube as well, and I'm excited for it, man. But this one is called Consumed by the Apocalypse, which all his titles, or some of his titles, have similar sort of titles. All of his titles have the same sort of theme in it, like something to do with the apocalypse or blah blah stuff like that. And yeah, I mean, I'm just excited to get into this. I'm not even going to ramble too much. I'm just going to check this out, to be honest. But if you're interested in checking out my Instagram and my Twitter, links are in the description for those who want to follow me on those. And same for my second channel on YouTube, links are all there. Just at 15k on my second channel, which is incredible. 20k next, but yeah, for those interested, links are all there. But let's get into this one and let's see what LEMMiNO has for us today.
Of all the species to have ever lived, all but a tiny fraction have gone extinct. At some point in the future, the same fate will befall humanity.
Sad, but it's true, isn't it? It's honestly
it may take
sad,
centuries, it might take eons, but extinction
eons, oh, millions, billions. Okay, I see what it means.
is
I was
unavoidable.
like, wait, what?
The future is fraught with uncertainty, and the apocalypse never seems too far away.
It's a pretty dark start, to say the least. Consumed by the apocalypse. Bro, one thing I'm going to say is his video editing just gets better and better. This already, we're 49 seconds in, and it's just ridiculous. His sort of video sort of style. It's ridiculous. Is that a meteor, yeah? Chapter 1. Cosmic threats. This is something that does scare me, honestly. Meteors and like cosmic sort of activity. This is something that's always scared me as a kid. Always, always, always. And this is probably going to be no different. He's probably going to talk about things that have happened in the past, like the dinosaurs, and stuff that's possible in the future. I swear there's like supposed to be like a meteor hitting Earth like on the 30th of like February or whatever, and you always just hear stuff like that, and it's just like, yeah, I don't like thinking about this kind of stuff, but it's going to be interesting for the video topic, right?
Nearly 800,000 years ago, an approximately 1 kilometer wide asteroid collided with Earth. The crater has yet to be located, but fragments from the impact have been found scattered across the eastern hemisphere.
Oh wow.
An expansive strewn field that covers up to 30% of the planet's surface. Our distant ancestors were not only alive to witness this event, but managed to adapt and survive.
Oh, so this isn't to do with the dinosaurs?
Impacts of this
what?
magnitude occur roughly once every 500,000 to 2 million years. More devastating.
Oh my days, bro. It's it's bigger than a Burj Khalifa, and that's just by like height, width. I mean, obviously you can see height in a different way, but the width and the height, it's as thick as that as well. So it's basically upwards, it's 1 kilometer wide, and then wide it's 1 kilometer as well. That is crazy.
Impacts, like the one that nearly wiped out the dinosaurs, are far less frequent.
10 kilometers.
Possibly striking once every 100 million years. Whether a collision of this magnitude is survivable is a matter of debate.
Look at the editing, man.
The kinetic energy released upon impact would be equivalent to the simultaneous detonation of billions of atomic bombs. Those who survived the initial blast would be subjected to unrelenting earthquakes, firestorms and tsunamis.
Firestorm. Oh,
A thick layer of smoke and dust would quickly envelop the globe and blot out the sun. An impact winter that could last for months or even years. Darkness, freezing cold, and global famine would throw the world into chaos. In spite of this, long-term survival is not inconceivable. Small pockets of humanity may take refuge underground and would at least be given a chance to rebuild civilization. But make no mistake, it would be a close call. The survivability of an impact also depends on how much time we have to prepare. More than 90% of nearby asteroids and comets larger than 1 kilometer have already been detected. If one of them were on a collision course with Earth, we'd know for decades or even centuries in advance.
Really? Decades or centuries? Bro, that is unreal. Science is ridiculous. How you can predict stuff that's gonna happen decades away. Decades, what's the other one? Decades, what's it called?
Have already been detected.
Decades and...
If one of them were on a collision course with Earth, we'd know for decades or even centuries.
Centuries, that's the one I was looking for. Centuries. Bro, how? How is that even possible? Science is ridiculous, man.
But this was not always the case. In 1983, a 9-kilometer wide comet was only spotted 2 weeks prior to its closest approach.
Oh my days.
That's 2 weeks of preparation had it been aiming for Earth. While things have
12 times farther than the moon. That's not, when you consider like the size of space, that is nothing. 23 times closer than Venus.
Significantly improved since 1983, space is impossibly vast. In 2019, an asteroid capable of leveling a city was detected a day before it flew 5 times closer to the Earth than the moon.
What? Wait, what? What? How have I never heard about this? Do I just never hear anything about this? Asteroid 2019. I need to see this quickly. Leveling a city. So that's big. Asteroid 2019. Is that just what it's called? 2019. Okay, yeah. Fuck. That is ridiculous. I had no idea this was the case. It really brings into sort of like reality how like vulnerable we actually are. We think we're all these tough things yet, but we're nothing. One thing like this and we're gone, man. 2019, okay. Size, let's see this. Asteroid 2019, okay, is estimated to be 195 and 425 feet, 60 to 130 meters in diameter. It orbits the sun at distances ranges. God damn, bro, well, the world is scary, and it's 2021. If things could get worse in 2020, what a way it could be than to get hit by an asteroid, right?
While the odds of an extinction-level collision are remote, it's not impossible. There is a class of objects known as Damocloids. Damocloids are typified by their highly eccentric orbits and low reflectivity, meaning they periodically pay us a visit and are extremely difficult to detect. We're currently tracking about 200, but there could be hundreds more tumbling through the solar system. Damocloids are, on average, 16 kilometers wide. If one of them were on a collision course with Earth, there might not be any warning.
Are you bro, this is giving me some anxiety attack right now. I'm not even going to deep that, bro. We are so vulnerable, bro. Stellar explosions. Here's another one to get scared about, boys and girls. Fucks.
When massive stars die, they explode.
The editing again is crazy.
If a star went supernova within 30 light years of Earth, it would be cause for concern.
This hurt my ears.
Fortunately, more than 90% of the stars within this bubble have already been discovered, none of which are at risk of exploding anytime soon. But some supernovae can still pose a threat from thousands of light years away. It's a gamma-ray burst, produced by only the most violent explosions in the universe. Instead of a spherical blast, a gamma-ray burst will channel the explosion into two highly concentrated beams. More energy is released in a few seconds than the sun will radiate in its entire lifetime.
What the fuck? What? Bro, this is tripping me out. This shit's tripping me out.
The biological effects of a nearby supernova or gamma-ray burst are poorly understood. We do know that the atmosphere would absorb much of the high-energy radiation, but this may also strip the Earth of its protective layer of ozone. If so, harmful levels of ultraviolet radiation from the sun would penetrate down to the surface. Certain chemical reactions may also darken the sky and induce global cooling, a cosmic winter of sorts. This could last for years and would be lethal to many plants and animals. In fact, a gamma-ray burst might be responsible for a mass extinction that killed roughly 70% of all marine species nearly 500 million years ago. Now, humanity could easily protect itself against ultraviolet sun rays, but living through a mass extinction would not be a pleasant experience. While some authors have painted a far bleaker image, with one hemisphere effectively sterilized by intense radiation, these findings have been contested in recent years. The latest research identifies ozone depletion as the primary threat. Nevertheless, a gamma-ray burst sniping the Earth from across the galaxy is extremely improbable. All of them have so far been extragalactic in origin, much too distant to pose a threat. While there are a few potential candidates within the Milky Way, none of them appear to be directed at Earth.
Thank God for that.
Apart from impact events and stellar explosions, the foreseeable future is free of cosmic threats. Other eventualities are either too improbable or won't happen for millions of years. Ample time for us to prepare, other calamities permitting.
What's the next one? Volcanoes, here we go. One I've just sort of touched upon recently in a previous video, and yeah, the possibilities of this are a lot higher. Probably the most possible chance, the most sort of likely thing to happen in terms of like what we've seen so far, because there's so many super volcanoes and all these type of things, man. Thinking about it scares me, but it's a possibility, right, that we probably have to prepare ourselves for, or our families for, say 100 to 200
Around
years down the line.
74,000 years ago, a large volcano erupted in Southeast Asia. It is the most powerful volcanic eruption in human history.
Note how he says human history, as if before we were here and there was other animals, there was probably, well, there most definitely was volcanoes that were probably 2-3 times more powerful than this. Possibly, maybe not, maybe that's not a possibility, but more powerful than this, to say the least. So I mean, it could get worse than this, which is the scariest thing. Just in human
For up to
history.
2 weeks, it spewed enormous quantities of ash and dust into the atmosphere, enough to block out the sun and potentially cool the planet. A volcanic winter. But there's great uncertainty about the effects of the eruption on both the climate and humanity. It ranges from severe to mild, with the latest research supporting the latter. In either case, this is good news. It means that supervolcanic eruptions pose little to no threat to human existence. After all, if early humans stood a chance, then so should we. But there is something even more destructive than supervolcanic eruptions. It's known as a flood basalt event. The largest one occurred 250 million years ago. An enormous outpouring of molten rock covered a region of Siberia the size of Europe. And it just so happens to coincide with the deadliest mass extinction in history. The good news is, flood basalt events are both rare and slow. Instead of a singular event, it's a series of eruptions taking place over thousands or even millions of years. As such, even if one began tomorrow, it might just be slow enough for us to adapt and survive.
That is ridiculous. That is ridiculous. Natural pandemic. Here we go.
Throughout the centuries, pandemics have exacted a heavy toll on humankind. Among the worst was the Black Death. In less than a decade, it killed between 25 and 60% of the European population. The total death count is unknown, at least tens of millions. The Colombian exchange of diseases and the Spanish flu claimed the lives of many millions more. The tragedy of these pandemics and epidemics notwithstanding, they never came close to extinction.
It's crazy to me how this one was only 100 years ago and they don't even know it's between 70 million and 100 million. I'm assuming it's because this is when the war was happening, so they can't... World War I was happening, so they can't fully understand how much it was. But this was only for 2 years as well. Black Death was for 7 years, and that was a ridiculous one as well. The Spanish flu, oh my days. The Colombian exchange, I've not actually heard much about this. Smallpox, measles, typhus, and others, influenza. Influenza again.
None of them killed more than a few percent of the global population. For instance, the Spanish flu infected nearly 1/3 of humanity,
that is ridiculous.
Yet the vast majority of cases did not result in death. A pathogen that not only infects but also kills every single member of a species is difficult to imagine. In fact, there are very few examples of infectious disease driving a species to extinction. With that being said, it's not inconceivable. For instance, pathogens that can pass between multiple species can be far deadlier than those limited to just one. The H5N1 avian influenza, also known as the bird flu, is one such virus. So far, it's transmissible between humans and birds, but it can't sustainably spread among humans. However, laboratory experiments have shown that it may eventually acquire this ability through natural mutations.
What?
If so, it could easily become the worst pandemic in human history. But even this horrifying proposition does not come close to extinction.
Boy, why am I watching this video? This is just giving me anxiety at this point. This is just making me realize, I mean, again, from videos I've seen in the past, and like from LEMMiNO and all these channels that are like this, it makes you realize how, just, I've said it already, but just how sort of weak we are in like general. Like we think we're all strong, we think we're like the strongest things and all these types of stuff. Bro, a little virus comes along, we're gone, bro, we're gone. A little virus that can affect us in a certain way that humans just can't handle, we're gone. A little asteroid comes and like crashes onto Earth, we're gone. A volcano erupts, we're gone, bro. Like, and it just sort of makes you deep. Like, why is there all this sort of stuff that people do? Like, all the hatred and just stuff like that. I'm getting deep, I'm not gonna lie, but it makes you think that, like, why there's just so much hatred between people, or people who think they're better than others. Bro, you get hit by one of these things that are on here, you're gone, man. None of that matters anymore. Sorry for that little.
In a worst case scenario, most of humanity would still survive.
1.7. Oh. Come on, please, birds. Birds, we're relying on you at this point. Birds, please do not let this happen, alright? Just let... You're annoying, yeah? I hate birds, but if you just, you know, keep flying and don't come near us and just stop this from happening, even though it's not on you, I'll love you a bit more. Maybe I'll feed the next bird I see a bit of bread. You know how it is, yeah? What am I saying? COVID-19, I assume.
Pandemics are complicated. It's a topic that's more relevant now than ever before and cannot possibly be done justice in a few short minutes. But in the narrow context of human extinction, it seems unlikely for nature to stumble upon that perfect storm. Apart from volcanic eruptions and natural pandemics, the Earth has no inherent means of eradicating the human race. No other form of natural calamity is powerful enough to threaten our existence. As such, the most immediate threat to humanity has for a long time been, and continues to be, humanity.
I was thinking that, I was going to say ourselves. Anthropogenic threats.
While nature may struggle to devise a world-ending pandemic, it may not have to. Biotechnology has now advanced to a point where we can engineer pathogens in a laboratory. While this can greatly benefit our understanding and treatment of infectious diseases,
laboratory-created illnesses. That's like kind of what some people thought about. Wait, SARS was. Wait, you can't see that the SARS virus escaped at least 4 times from 3 separate laboratories. Once in Singapore, once in Taiwan, and twice from the same lab. 1 person died. What the hell?
It's not without risk. Accidental breaches of containment have happened on multiple occasions, and these experiments are not always conducted in the name of science. These engineered microbes are concerning because their destructive potential far exceeds that of their natural counterparts. They can be deadlier, more transmissible, and less treatable. And the rapid pace of technological progress is constantly lowering the threshold for bioengineering.
His biggest concern was, he said it in so many words, that a small group of dedicated scientists could create an altered biological agent that could wipe out humanity as we know it.
Technically speaking, you can do almost anything with a microbe. The real question is, will you end up with a microbe that functionally will do the things that the concerned person at your hearing said, namely, essentially wipe out everyone from the face of the earth? Again, that's conceivable, although it's inconceivable, but it is, in fact, anything is possible. It would be very, very difficult to do that, extraordinarily difficult, even in the best of hands, to not only do the engineering to get a microbe that has the characteristics, but be able to spread in a way in which it has virulence, transmissibility, and the ability to go in a sustained, transmissible way.
This is in 2005. We all know how technology moves and how everything moves. 15 years down the line, 16 years down the line, bro, this could have accelerated tenfold, 10, 20, 30 times more. Maybe more. Like, it's just crazy how technology moves. And it's scary for certain things like this because science moves quickly as well, man.
Not impossible, but very, very difficult to do.
So it's not impossible. The Nuclear Holocaust. Nuclear Holocaust. Oh, nuclear, yeah. More of humanity doing what they do best. There we go. The most powerful nuclear device ever done.
A nuclear holocaust is among the most infamous doomsday scenarios. Since the end of World War II, we have on numerous occasions been driven to the brink of nuclear conflict. Sometimes by accident, sometimes by very intentional brinkmanship. The nuclear stockpile currently stands at more than 13,000 warheads, the vast majority of which are owned by Russia and the United States.
See, this is one of those things I don't understand why there's even this kind of thing, but a lot of people in my comments do they bring up valid ideas like, what's the term? Like, this kind of stops wars from happening, like knowing that these countries have this kind of stuff sort of stops things accelerating to a certain point. It's a double-edged double-edged sword. That's a saying, right? Like, obviously, it's negative to have these kinds of things and the possibilities to cause absolute chaos between, just what could literally end humanity. But on the other side of things, it stops, like, or it's managed to stop a lot more like wars that back in the day would have happened for like reasons that, because like we would have these kinds of things in sort of in the hold of these countries. But and also like aren't we at our most peaceful sort of point now in terms of like wars going on in the last sort of 20 years or whatever, or maybe longer than that, maybe actually since World War II actually, which is like what, 8 years, 9 years. But still, it's just one of those things that I still can't fully get behind it, because it's just like the damage it could cause is just beyond belief, man, and it has caused.
In the event of an all-out nuclear war, these thousands of bombs could instantly vaporize hundreds of millions. But the explosions are only the beginning. The real danger of a nuclear conflict is the aftermath.
Yeah.
Much like an impact event or supervolcanic eruption, a thick layer of smoke and dust would quickly envelop the globe. A nuclear winter that not only blots out the sun, but showers the world in radioactive fallout. Firestorms, radiation poisoning, and mass starvation could easily claim the lives of billions. However, because humanity is not evenly distributed across the planet, some regions would be less affected than others. Island nations like New Zealand, for instance, are all but certain to survive.
Wow.
While the effects of a nuclear holocaust are almost too dismal to contemplate, it is not typically regarded as an existential threat.
New Zealand, here we come, baby. I'm coming to New Zealand as soon as possible. God damn.
Artificial intelligence has had a profound impact on modern society. From self-driving cars and virtual assistants to social media algorithms and facial recognition. But
to be fair, with Alexa, man, Alexa off. Alexa does not listen. Alexa, in terms of certain things of artificial technology or intelligence, we've still got a long way to go. Obviously, Alexa and these kinds of things, like self-driving cars, is ridiculous, and all these other things is ridiculous. But Alexa on its own, it's got a lot of developing needed. I'm just saying, like, it doesn't reply to me half the time. And I'm just like, Alexa, I need to hear you right now. I need to play some music.
Some experts are concerned about the future.
It's a worrying thing.
A future in which intelligent machines become more intelligent than humans. The concern is not so much about evil robots as it is about misalignment. A misaligned intelligence is one that's not properly aligned with human goals and values. A system that becomes dangerous not due to any malicious intent, but due to an oversight in its programming. An unforeseen loophole that allows it to do things it was never intended to do. If such an entity was sufficiently intelligent, it could become unstoppable. Another concern is known as the intelligence explosion. It's a machine that can upgrade itself and thereby increase its own intelligence at an exponential rate.
Bruh, so this is like iOS kind of, but being able to do it on its own, and it obviously not being a software like on phones and stuff, but like an actual sort of, maybe like a robot or something to that sort of extreme. Because we get like updates, but that's because of like software developing and like people doing it themselves. If we get to a point where this is possible, that is actually such a scary thought. That is actually a ridiculous thought.
Moments after creating such a system, it could far surpass the combined intelligence of all humans that have ever lived. Such an entity may have little to no regard for human affairs. Not unlike humanity's disregard for species less intelligent than us. With that being said, these concerns are far from universal.
Yeah.
In 2016, a survey of more than 300 machine learning experts was conducted. On average, they gave a 50% chance of an artificial intelligence surpassing all human abilities by 2061. But as you can see from these faded lines in the background, there's tremendous variation between individual respondents. Some think it will happen in a few years, others believe we're more than a century away. When asked about the impact of this technology, the majority of respondents believed in a positive outcome.
Okay.
Extinction was only given a medium probability of 5%.
That's an interesting one for sure.
Artificial intelligence is not the only emerging technology with the potential for human extinction. But the problem with assessing their risk is that we have no precedents. We can estimate the likelihood of an asteroid impact by surveying the geologic record and our cosmic neighborhood. But there's no historical context for artificial intelligence or self-replicating nanomachines. When the first nuclear device was detonated in 1945, there was a genuine concern that it would ignite the atmosphere and incinerate all life on the planet. In fact, one of the observers was so taken aback by the enormity of the explosion that for a brief moment, that's precisely what he thought had happened.
Wow.
While this doomsday scenario did not come to pass, it's a cautionary tale. No one really knows what the future will bring. All we can do is proceed with caution and hope for the best. Over the past few decades, species across the plant and animal kingdoms have been disappearing at an alarming pace.
So this is to do with like trees being cut down, or the Amazon for example, like how that was on fire and all this kind of stuff. Bro, there's so many different scenarios that are possible, and even though each scenario is so sort of low in percentage or chances of happening, if you sort of consider all of them, the chances sort of go up of at least something happening. And I mean, it does make you realise, like...
Some 10 billion trees are cleared every single year,
we could be
while animal populations are rapidly declining.
That is... The average population size, 4,392 species, has declined by 68%. What are humans doing, man? Bro, we are some messed up species. The species to end all species that will end up ending their own species, man.
Many species are also going extinct. The global rate of extinction is now tens or even hundreds of times greater than before humans conquered the planet. And it's accelerating. Upwards of 1 million species are now threatened with extinction.
Fucking hell.
At the core of this immense loss of biodiversity is overconsumption driven by overpopulation. Humanity is now depleting 3/4 as many resources as the Earth can naturally replenish, meaning we will soon need a second Earth just to break even.
That is messed up.
From deforestation and defaunation to pollution and climate change, no shocking graph nor depressing slideshow can fully convey the totality of our destruction. Our relationship with nature is so utterly broken that many fear we are now heading for extinction.
Wait, so how likely do you think it will be that climate change will cause the extinction of the human race? For Europe, it's 22%. You can see that it's 33% for the dark greens. Oh, so it's the same as the Asian Pacific. So Europe and USA, 33% think not very likely. 22% not very likely, but then 23% think quite likely. 10% think very likely. Don't know. I'm kind of in the don't know at this point. I don't really know what to think. It is interesting how certain countries, or certain continents think different things. Like you see Asia and the Pacific, they're strongly in the thought of like it could happen, like it's very likely, which sort of shows as to why a lot of Asian countries are like more advanced in this type of stuff. Like they're a lot cleaner, like with how they do certain things, and it's just, it does make you realise like we've got a long way to go, man. Certain countries are ahead of others for sure.
Extinction. That this unraveling of nature will be mankind's undoing. While some of the most comprehensive assessments to date do indeed paint a truly dystopian image of the future, none of them forecast total annihilation of the human race. We may turn the planet into a living hell, but a livable hell it would seem.
What is this?
However, some scientists argue that these assessments are severely underestimating the gravity of this crisis, that the sheer magnitude of our destruction is difficult to grasp for even well-informed experts. Some have also voiced their concerns about potential tipping points, a threshold that, once exceeded, may trigger an irreversible decline of ecosystems around the world, a global ecological collapse from which recovery becomes virtually impossible. But it's not all doom and gloom. While the rate of deforestation is alarmingly high, it has been slowing down over the past 3 decades. While the transition has been infuriatingly slow, more and more countries are phasing out fossil fuels in favor of renewable energy sources. So in no way should human extinction, which is the most extreme outcome, be regarded as inevitable. Climate change mitigation and nature conservation efforts are all but certain to prevent that from happening. But at the same time, that's how low we've set the bar.
For real, man. Look at this picture, bro. Look at that, man. That is ridiculous.
What surprised me while making this video is just how difficult it is to truly wipe out everyone. Many catastrophes can drive us to the brink of extinction, but all of them struggle to cross the finish line. So that should be somewhat reassuring. Even if humanity was reduced to a few hundred individuals, a full recovery might still be possible. It would undoubtedly take many thousands of years, but recovery would not be out of the question. And the more we expand beyond the confines of Earth, extinction from any singular catastrophe becomes increasingly unlikely. Perhaps the apocalypse won't be dealt by a swift, decisive blow, but instead a gradual, faltering decline. One disaster bleeding into the next, until the final embers of humankind silently fade away. Regardless, it won't happen anytime soon. After all, we made it this far. Millions of years of evolution, countless disasters, and humanity still standing. That is perhaps the best reassurance that the world is still gonna be there tomorrow.
Mate, shout out LEMMiNO, bro. His videos are so good. This is so eye-opening. His content is just... it makes you think. It really does. Lots of people booking flights to New Zealand after this video. Everyone, thank God 2020 is over. LEMMiNO, here's a list of things that can make 2021 worse than 2020. If LEMMiNO was a Netflix series, I'd binge watch it every night. Well, he's a YouTube series, and you can binge watch him here. But I do know what you mean. Like, but his production is just like the highest quality possible on this site for sure, man. Without a doubt, without a doubt. New Zealand population increased rapidly. Science, how is this possible? Other scientists, well, they watched the video from a guy named LEMMiNO. I can see humans destroying themselves before the universe does. When the world needed him most, LEMMiNO appeared. 4 months away, man. It's good to have him back for sure. The LEMMiNO impact. Yeah, 2020 is over. Let's make this year better. LEMMiNO. Here are ways that humanity could go extinct. LEMMiNO's production value is truly something to be amazed by. It's ridiculous, man. It's ridiculous. Give this man a Netflix documentary series already. LEMMiNO. It's actually extremely difficult to make humanity go extinct because again, impossible. Hope you guys enjoyed this reaction. More LEMMiNO on the way. I'm happy that he's back posting again. It's understandable why it takes so long for his videos to be posted because he puts so much effort into them. But I'm gonna be binge watching his past videos for sure because I do love his channel. But what are your thoughts on this? Like, what are your thoughts on like how we could be extinct? Because the possibilities are there, man. The possibilities are there, and it's a scary thought, but it's a thought that should be there, right? But yeah, hope you guys enjoyed this reaction. Until next time, like, subscribe. Peace.